Once again, thank you for joining us today. I'm Rhonda Rush, the Director of Operations here at Nomerel, and today we are talking about cybersecurity for the non-experts. We mean that with love because not a day goes by that I don't want to slap my own forehead because one of my bonehead moves or another. So we're going to try to spend the next 45-ish minutes covering real, practical things you can do to protect your business with no technical background required. And with summer in full swing, we understand you have lots of other places you could be. We'll be sure to make this time worth your while. In order to make your time worth your while, we need you to submit your questions in the chat, and Faith will do her best to try and get us to address them during this session. We wanted this to be a helpful time for you and for you, so please make sure we addressed what interests you. So first of all, I want to address a common misunderstanding among small business owners, and that is one that says the bad guys only go after the big guys. The truth is actually the opposite. Small businesses are targeted more often, specifically because they're easier targets. None of that is a personal failing. It's just the reality of running a small business and is exactly why we are talking about this today. If you think of a lion and a herd of antelope, the lion is going to go after the one that appears to be the easiest target, the outlier, the lone wolf. They're not looking for the fastest, leanest, and most athletic of the herd. It's the same in the cyber world. That means if you don't appear to have a dedicated IT or security team, you're going to be a target. Your people are your number one target. In fact, they could be considered the lone wolf. Employees are the number one reason we have to remediate issues for customers. The days of the multi-million-dollar ransomware attacks are getting fewer and further between because what the bad guys want is to intercept your data. They want to intercept your customer data, and they especially want to intercept your receivables. Okay, I want you to grab a piece of paper, notepad, the back of your hand, whatever, and answer these 3 questions really quickly. And be honest with yourself. Do you know how to recognize a legitimate email from a scam? Would your team know what to do if they clicked the wrong link? And are you confident your passwords would hold up against a real attempt? If you answered not really to any of those, you're not alone. And that's why we're doing what we're doing today. Let me be clear. We're not saying that you don't care about security. We're saying that people in business haven't been shown where to start. And we see 3 things over and over again. There's no process, there's no ownership, and there's no practice. So taking these a bite at a time, kind of like the lions would do, let's talk about the no clear process. Your people are noticing things that look suspicious all the time, but they sincerely do not know what to do with that information. Where do they start? Who do they tell? What should they do? Without a process, the people are going to be lost. So they want to do the right thing. What they think is right could be a mistake, or it might even make things worse. So what you need is a written plan that tells them what to do. Now, on the second point of no ownership, everyone assumes somebody else is handling something, so nothing actually gets done. My motto or rule of thumb in this area is that if you see it, you own it until you know someone else has taken it from you. So if you see it, bring it to somebody's attention. Don't assume somebody else has already raised that issue up to the people who will handle it. If you think about an emergency room, they have somebody doing triage, they have somebody doing room assignments, they have somebody doing check-ins. There's x-ray, there's MRI, there's radiologists reading the x-rays, there's medical doctors. Everybody has an individual role, and they do their role in an emergency situation. That's the same thing that you're going to do in putting your plan together. You're going to determine who is going to do which role in that emergency. And that's what you need in your written plan. You need to tell the people who will do what if something goes wrong. And of course, the last one is no practice. Everybody has heard me say it before, but this is your tornado drill. I know I say it probably way too much, but if you don't do the tornado drill, you don't have that emergency plan in place. You don't have the muscle memory to actually jump into action when you need it. So you need to have a plan. It needs to be in writing. Then you need to run the drill on all or part of your company to see if the plan actually worked. So, Faith, can I get a drum roll, please?
Ta-da.
This is the part you came for. 5 things you can do this week with no IT background required. It's not theoretical. It's not big picture strategies. These are things you can literally do today or tomorrow. So let's get into it. Number 1 thing, if you do nothing else after we get off this webinar, do this one thing. Turn on multi-factor authentication. It's the single highest impact, lowest effort item on this entire list. Think of it as a second lock on the door. Even if someone manages to get a copy of the first key, they still can't get in. My favorite example is when I have a car that has the integrated garage door opener. My favorite part of that is that if somebody broke into my car in the driveway, they could not get into the garage and therefore the house because the door opener won't work unless my car is turned on. So multi-factor authentication, without somebody having access to my garage door opener and the fact that it won't work unless the car is turned on, that's peace of mind. And that's the kind of safety that MFA provides you. It's that second proof of identity that is usually sent to a personal device like a phone or a tablet, but it's beyond your password. And it just takes things to another level. I can't tell you how many times we have been alerted to the fact that somebody is brute force attacking an email account or a login to something where the MFA has actually stopped them because we can tell that they had the right password, but they couldn't get any further because they didn't have the MFA. So
Wow,
I'm going to dare
crazy.
all of you. I know it's nuts, but I'm going to dare everybody on here to go to the chat and type in your best excuse not to have MFA, because Faith's going to watch those and we're going to come back and chat about those for sure. I've heard a lot of them. So while you're typing those in, I want to talk about phishing emails. They don't look like what we expected them to anymore. They no longer have bad grammar. They're not super obvious anymore. AI has made them very much like everybody else that you talk to on a regular basis. They actually look like your bank. They use your boss's phrasing. They mimic your IT provider. And the latest ones actually look like Microsoft used their wording to get you to do what you've been trained to do. So be super careful and ever vigilant in this area. And of course, how do you combat this? You have to watch for the key things, which are like urgency, phrases that tell you to act now or your account's going to be closed. They're designed to make you panic and click before you think. That's when you need to have a trigger that says, okay, if it's trying to make me panic, I need to really slow down and take another look. Check the sender address very closely. Since small misspellings are one of the most common giveaways, you'll usually see like a display name that looks correct, but if you hover over it, you'll see a misspelling in the domain or something somewhere. The domain is anything that's after the @ symbol in the email address. And just remember that a capital L could, or a lowercase l could look like a capital I and or a 1. There's just lots of different things. Is there an S at the end? There shouldn't be an S. Be very careful. Make sure it matches previous emails that are legitimate. Never click on a link or open an attachment you are not expecting, even if it looks like it came from somebody you know. You know, a few months ago, I got a phone call from somebody who said, I don't know what to do. I just clicked on a link because it came from my attorney's email and I don't know what to do. And I said, well, were you expecting an email from your attorney? Well, no, but it was my attorney. So it doesn't matter who it's coming from. If you're not expecting it, don't click on it. You need to just pick up the phone and call that person or that company directly with a readily known phone number, one that you already have, and ask if the email that you received is legitimate. Nobody's ever going to fault you for that. So here's your scenario. Is the email real? Pretend an email just landed in your inbox right now. Everything on the left side of this slide is a red flag to watch for. Everything on the right side is what to do. So if the address doesn't quite match the real company, don't click on any links or download attachments. If it's urgent or threatening, demanding fast action, don't click on any links or attachments. Hover over the sender's name. Is it generic? Don't click on any links or download attachments. Does it have a preview that shows a different or a strange URL? Don't click on any links or attachments. And, one of the questions, something we could put in the chat is, have you ever forwarded a suspicious email to your IT group? A yes or no in the chat would be great. The thing about that is we love to see those come through. You're never bothering your IT group, because when you send something to us that says, hey, I got this, I don't feel like this is legit, what do you guys think? We will redirect you to, okay, were you expecting this? Is this somebody that type of thing. We'll ask questions, but it also helps us to build up our bank of knowledge on, okay, here's a new one that's coming out. We, periodically we do see some new things that have to do with particular things, and we'll send out notifications to let other companies know and keep everybody aware. Number 3 on what you can do to take care of your security, and that is to build better password habits. You want to use unique passwords for every account. This slide says important account. Every account should be unique. We're not going to tell you you have to memorize these. I really don't want you to write these down. If somebody tells you that they memorize everything, they're definitely lying to you. Reused passwords are one of the biggest risks. Many programs, your 365, if we manage your accounts, you're not even allowed to use any form of one of your last 6 passwords. So you're going to always have to be, updating things and making things different. So what's the best way to handle this? A password manager is super easy, removes the need to memorize all of these different things. You just have one master password that you need to keep track of. And when you get logged into that password manager, I like to use Bitwarden. Then you get logged into that. It has an extension that will work on your browser, and you can have it fill in your different usernames and passwords for your different websites and things of that nature. If you're not ready for a password manager, consider using longer passphrases rather than complicated short ones that somebody might tend to write on a sticky note. And don't get me started on sticky notes, because I could easily turn into Dr. Seuss. I don't like them here or there. They're not fringe on the bottom of your monitor. And yes, the cleaning crew could steal you blind, because they do pick up your keyboard and they see the ones that are under your keyboard and taped to the back of your keyboard. So don't do that. I think that pretty much covers passwords. A password manager is really the best way to go to make sure that every password that you use is unique, and never use your work email for any personal shopping online or anything like that. You should definitely use a separate email for personal items. And don't repeat your work password on your personal stuff. Because that also causes a lot of exposure. Now, this one is a little bit less about your inbox and a little bit more about your business as a whole.
Okay, sorry,
So-
quick interruption. Mark said, can you give an example of a passphrase, which I think is good. Like, give an example of how he.
Yeah, so the love shack is the squeaky old shack, exclamation point. You know, I've got a car as big as a whale. Are those good passphrases? I'm waiting for Mark to pipe in. He should be talking to us. They kind of caught me off guard there, but okay, I see Faith
Sorry,
laughing.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No, that I
anyway.
mean, but that's the type of thing. You have to come up with something that's long enough.
Yeah.
Use the spaces in everything. You don't have to have it all just jammed together. You can have an actual sentence that says, review who has accessed those systems at least twice a year. That's a
Yeah,
phrase you can
I wouldn't
use.
have thought about that. I like that. I like that, the longer sentence instead of just having to come up with something that's a bunch of numbers, and unless you're using a password manager and it gives you a suggested password.
Right.
But
But
yeah.
for passphrases, I mean, if my mother was coming up with a passphrase, it would be "You are my sunshine."
Oh, I
So
like that.
there's always Prague is beautiful in the fall. I mean,
Yeah.
you make them make sense. Don't just jumble a bunch of different things together
Yeah.
that don't make sense to you. So good questions. So let's go back to access. So again, this is something that affects everybody in your business. Who can get into your shared drives? Who can get into email? Who can see financial information? And do you really know who can do that? So every twice a year, you need to definitely review who has access to your systems. Minimum. I like to look at it more often than that, but minimum, you need to go back and look at those things twice a year. It can save you money. If you still have people that are licensed and they have email licenses and they haven't been there for 6 months, you need to drop those licenses. Share those mailboxes with somebody who needs it. Don't just be holding on to stuff forever. The longer you hold stuff, the more likely you are, as if you become a target, to lose even more information. And that means you're responsible for more loss and more problems. When somebody leaves the company or changes roles, remove their access immediately. If you have an IT group like Nomerel, that means include your IT group. Don't just do this from HR or just depend on your manager of the department. Go through your IT group, because when a person is hired, the IT group not only sets up their email, but they set up all of the GPOs that go with this. When somebody is hired, they are included in multiple kinds of groups that will get them access to different things. It will get them access to shared files and shared folders. And it also puts them in certain things like, we have groups on the back end that are determining who's taking your cyber training. And when you hire a new employee, they get enrolled in that group. If that employee separates from your company and you don't notify IT, then IT doesn't remove them from that group, and you just keep adding people to that group, and you're going to be paying unknowingly for more people than you have that are taking your cyber training. So it affects your licensing as well. So you want to make sure that you always include IT in the comings and the goings of new and former employees. The goal is simple: limit access to what each person truly needs to do their job. So if it's just a job change, it's a promotion or a demotion, it's a move to a different department, they no longer need access to the old department's share drive, let's take them out of that. It's less things can go wrong. The fewer hands you have that can touch something, the fewer chances of things going wrong. We call that the rule of least privilege. So I already did one bonus a little bit ago, I think. But do you know that here's a new bonus. Do you know that when you walk away from your device and you don't lock it, anyone in the vicinity can do and access everything you can? So here's a question for the chat. Has anyone ever changed the background on a coworker's computer? And I think we have Blakely with us, who is one of our newer employees. I'm pretty sure Blakely has done this to other people. And it may just be an IT thing, but we also have Cade with us. He's our summer intern. But yeah, people can come up and they'll change the background on your computer and then lock it while you're gone if you're not close to or you don't lock it before you leave. And of course, we all like to work remote. So if you're working in a bistro, a cafe, a coffee shop, be aware of where you're sitting and who can see your screen. Just a few other bonus tips there. You definitely want to have a something went wrong plan. So my favorite phrase, hope is not a strategy. If something goes wrong, do you know who to call in the first 5 minutes? At Nomerel, we have a few of those plans in place, and there's a checklist for each one. An example would be if someone called and their email is acting funny. We're not going to mess around looking for the cause. We're going to cut any issues off at the pass. We're going to reset your password. We're going to end all of the open sessions, and then we'll start the investigation while you go back to work. So we understand, yes, a new password isn't fun, but remediating all of your coworkers' devices and the bank of company servers is much less fun and much more expensive. So you don't want to be that person. So who are you going to call first? Hopefully it's your IT provider. At the end of our time together, I want you to practice taking your computer off the network. Don't do it now because you'll lose us. But if your computer's on Wi-Fi, do you know how to quickly drop from Wi-Fi? If your computer is hardwired to the network, do you know where it's connected and can you easily remove it if needed? You need to know how to quickly disconnect a device from the network if something looks nefarious, and you need to practice the plan because nobody has ever tried is really just a guess. So I want to look at what this looks like in practice. I'm going to throw in this little example from my computer on how to turn off your Wi-Fi. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look for that little Wi-Fi icon. And then most of yours are probably in the bottom tray at the bottom right side of your screen. When you click on that, you should get a flyout window or a pop-up screen. You can either click on the toggle to close it and turn off the Wi-Fi right there, or you can click directly on the blue Wi-Fi there next to the network that you're on, and it should turn it off for you. So that's the fastest way to do that. And PS, I never use dirty Wi-Fi. It's also known as public Wi-Fi, but it's not clean. No matter how they tell you it's clean, it's not. So worst case, you think you clicked a bad link. Now what do? The only thing that matters in this moment is speed over perfection. So the first thing you want to do, disconnect, unplug, turn off your Wi-Fi right away, report it. Tell your IT provider or manager immediately. Don't wait. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't try to fix it yourself. Time is essential if you truly have clicked something bad. This is the step a lot of people skip. This is also a step that requires voice communication, not an email. You don't just email something if you're in an urgent situation. You need to pick up the phone and call. So step 3 is we're going to change your passwords for any accounts that may have been affected. And then step 4 is you're just going to be aware and watch closely over the next few days and months to make sure that nothing unusual is happening. Acting fast is much more important than acting perfectly. So let's bring it all together. You're going to turn on multi-factor authentication. I don't think we had any good excuses come through, did we, Faith?
No, no one has excuse for it.
Nobody wanted to challenge me on that. So everybody's going to get multi-factor authentication turned on. Okay. Everybody's like, well, then I have to do this every time I log in. No, The first time you log in on a new device, you have to do that. Then it remembers it. You're fine. Learn to spot a phishing email. You're going to build better password habits. You're going to come up with some sort of passphrase if you're not going to use a password manager. You're going to know who has access to what programs and what information in your organization. And you're going to have a something went wrong plan ready before you ever need it. And that means you're going to have it written down. You're going to have people in charge of certain roles. You're going to have backup people for those roles.
So Blakely had a question. What if I own a flip phone, which I think is actually a good point for the multi-factor authentication? Not sure if that was a joke or not, but I think it is a good question.
There are many ways to do multi-factor authentication. And so if you have a flip phone, you can always get a text message. So now that we have all of those things together, that's 5 things, 1 week, real protection. No IT knowledge required. Now, of course, we do this every day at Nomerel. We help set up multi-factor authentication across your entire business. We can help enforce it. We can train your team to recognize the threats. We are in the habit of building clear, tested incident response plans. And we provide ongoing monitoring so issues get caught early instead of after the damage is done. Your security should not feel like guesswork, and you are not alone in this. So we want to have a conversation. You can reach either Mark or me to talk through how to handle your specific questions. Maybe there's something you don't feel comfortable leaving in the chat, email or call either one of us. Mark, you can talk to him about ownership, compliance, business continuance, any of those things. You could talk to me about ongoing support, security, whoever you're more comfortable having a conversation with. There's never any obligation to have a conversation, and we're happy to talk through where your business stands. So, Faith, are there any questions we didn't answer?
No, I didn't see anything come through. We got everything.
Well, I know everyone is busy. Thank you for being here. We'll be sending out the recording to everyone. You can rewatch it, share it with a colleague or a friend or family. You can go to nomerel.com/events to watch past webinars and register for the upcoming webinars. Thanks again, and we will see you in August to learn how to automate daily tasks with AI.
Thank you, everyone.